The start of an ordinary Minecraft world. For some, it may be different, but for most, it is more or less the same. You start with punching a tree to get some wood to create a crafting table. You most likely want to then make some wooden tools. You might then decide it is time to try to start working on some food right away. But in order to eat that food, you'll need to get some cobblestone to create a furnace. It's also never a bad idea to get rid of those wooden tools as quickly as possible. Now you have yourself a tasty treat. What a beautiful start to a Minecraft world. But what if this wasn't your Minecraft world? What if it shrunk down to a single chunk? Would you start the world the same? How would you play it any different? That's what I'll be doing in this series, trying my best to survive on a single chunk. What a lonely place this will be. How boring. No friends, no villagers, very few animals. How will I do it? However, luckily for me, this chunk has the opportunity to expand. How big will I be able to expand my single chunk? Will I be able to find the end portal to beat the dragon? Come along this journey with me and find out. As I began, I started exploring the chunk to see if there was anything special about it. All I could see was there was water leaning around the edges of it, there were pigs in the middle, and there was a path, seeing that there was a village around the edge. The first thing I could think to do was begin punching the ground. That seemed like a good start. Once I had thought the ground had learned its lesson, I decided to divert my attention over to this tree. After the first block was broken, the pig decided to make its great escape. It must have thought it didn't want any of my love. Luckily for the pig, I couldn't focus on it as I needed all of my attention to be on the first tree. I needed to make sure I secured saplings from it, as if I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to plant any more trees. Luckily though, I was able to secure not just one, but 2 saplings from the tree, doubling my profits for the day. After I was done punching the leaves, I decided the next move was to begin punching the grass again, so I could get some seeds. After I was done getting just 1 seed, I decided to make my very first crafting table. This would not be my only crafting table made for this video. That is just a little bit of foreshadowing for the video. After I was done with my chores up top, I needed to head downwards through the chunk so that I could collect some resources such as coal and iron. But as I was on my way down through the chunk, I was quickly met with some unfriendly foes. This will make it a little bit easier to get down a little bit further into the world. It's a cave. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. Go get him. Bro, he just shot you. Uh-oh. Figuring I didn't have the right tools for battle, I decided to mine in the wall right next to them to create myself a couple of stone tools. I thought this might make me better at Minecraft. Oh. Oh, shoot. Luckily, they were already weak from our previous interaction, so it did not take much to kill them. I was able to go through and explore this cave rather easily. Normally, that would not be the case on a single chunk, as you'll see from later battles and later interactions. But for now, I was able to move through this cave.
It's a mob spawner?
The coolest part of this cave was this mob spawner. It was only the sliver, but it was the beginning of this mob spawner. I decided that this is where I was going to expand the chunk so that I could get the rest of the mob spawner started. I was excited to see this mob spawner as it meant later on I might be able to start a mob grinder. But for now, I was going to have to leave it and explore the rest of the chunk. Now securing my first pieces of iron, I was feeling a little bit better about myself. I decided to test my luck and continue pushing onward. Now, in this next part of this clip, you might be wondering, Colton, where did all your hearts go? And to that I'll say, don't worry about it. Move on. Ignore it. I only have 2. I definitely wasn't getting hurt by just a couple of zombies. I'm totally fine. Ignore it. It's cool. Also, in this next part, you'll also be wondering, why are you getting copper? Who cares about copper? It's the most useless ore in the game. You don't need to be getting copper. And to that I'll say, you're wrong. I do need copper. I'm gonna continue getting it. And you'll see me mining copper in this video more than any other ore. And there's a reason for that. In one chunk at a time, you need copper to craft things called chunk spawners. Chunk spawners are used to spawn new chunks. Who would have guessed? Hence the reason I am collecting copper. And all of this yapping was definitely not a distraction to keep your mind off of what is about to happen next.
Might be tough to get back up to the surface. It's just straight water. Uh-oh. Hell no.
As you can see, luckily I was able to get a good majority of my stuff back. In case any of you were wondering why I don't play hardcore, that is why. I am not the most intelligent person when it comes to Minecraft. But luckily this time I was able to get my stuff back. Yes, I said this time. Feeling defeated, the thing that always brings me back is chopping wood. You'll see that as a theme in this video whenever I feel defeated. Chopping wood makes me feel better. With my first few pieces of iron, I decided to make a bucket and a pickaxe. The bucket I needed to get some water to bring up to the surface so I could start making some crops and getting food. My main objective was to find a way to get some sort of crop that I could breed my pigs. My other objective was to find a way to get the other pig back into the pen so that he did not fall off the world.
Ooh, food.
Save it. I decided to head down even further into the chunk. I was met there by an Enderman. I decided that we were going to be friends. The greatest friends, even best friends. And nothing was going to change that.
Very, very cool. Oh, son of a...
Having been betrayed by my best friend, I headed back down there looking for an apology. Unfortunately, it was not received, so I decided to move on and start mining again. I was looking for something particular. I was looking for a chest. This chest is supposed to hold something called a world forge. A world forge is what you use to create world chunks, but more on that later.
Diamonds.
Although, who could blame a man for getting distracted by their first diamond? Even though it turned out to just be the single piece.
One singular piece. There it is. That was lucky. Usually it's towards the bottom of it, from my understanding. Now we need a lot of blocks. Okay, you're pissing me off.
Having felt betrayed by my best friend, I decided it was my turn to enact my revenge. And fortunately for me, he dropped his balls.
Gravel will probably be the easiest for us to get right now.
The reason I'm collecting blocks is because the World Forge takes blocks in order to create world chunks. I headed back up to the surface after I was content with the amount of blocks that I had collected. I wasn't expecting what I was about to be met with.
Holy. Wow. Alrighty, this is the World Forge. So when you place it down, you can put blocks into it and it starts creating these world fragments, which once you have 4 of them, creates a world shard. Now you need 4 world shards to create, I believe it's called a world crystal, and then you need 4 world crystals to create a world core. And then in order to create an actual chunk spawner, you need the world core with 4 blocks of copper. And you can create an unstable one with copper and redstone dust, or you can create all these like plains, desert, you know, all these different ones with just a bunch of other stuff, but that's basically what it is. So, in other words, we're going to need a lot of blocks.
Having realized that I needed to collect a ton of blocks, I did the one thing that made sense to me and started cutting down trees. Knowing that this is not what counted as blocks in the World Forge, it still made sense to me as it's the one thing in this series that brought me comfort. Feeling comforted from breaking the logs, I decided to head back down the chunk. Feeling adventurous, I decided to start fighting the mobs that I was met with. instead of doing the smart thing and breaking blocks.
Haha. Where's our other hole? It's up there. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ.
Unfortunately, that time I truly had lost everything. Luckily, I still had a few pieces of iron left over. I decided this time I was going to actually use my brain and start mining blocks. So here is an actual mining montage. Now that I had gotten quite a bit of blocks, I decided to head back up to the surface and put my blocks to use. Just kidding. There were very few things that survived that, so I decided to do the thing that would comfort me again and break down some trees.
Alright, I'm not messing around anymore, piggies. I'm not scared of you. Your skeleton buddies. Seriously.
Now that I had made myself a shield, all of the skeletons had decided to run away and hide. But nonetheless, I decided to light up the cave so that I would no longer have any more of those deaths. Right? Now it was time to try to get some more blocks, since I had lost all of them. Now that I had gotten what I felt like was a sufficient amount of blocks, I headed back up to the surface and put them into the World Forge so that I could try to make a world chunk.
Definitely don't have enough. Alright. World core.
I now had a world core. All I needed from now on was more copper. Unfortunately, I had lost so much of it from dying repeatedly.
Pretty sure I would have had enough if I wouldn't have died this side.
I headed back down the world and luckily found the copper rather quickly.
Right there. And I think that's enough.
Now, with enough copper, I could head back up.
Is there any iron? Please.
I could head back up. Head back up.
Is there any iron?
Up. Go up.
Ah. Hello. Are there any skeletons with you? Alright, I'm done. Oh Lord.
Now that my brain was finally working and I had made it back up to the surface, I could finally start smelting the copper and create the world chunk. After I got the copper smelting, I decided to head back down the chunk once again, this time to look for some more ores. I was lucky enough to come away with a few more and not to run into any mobs this time.
Oh.
Ended.
There it is. The chunk spawner. Is it this way? Yes. Let's see, how do we use it? Oh. Oh, there it is. Alright. Well.
After gaining my new land, I began exploring it. There was so much more. I decided to start trying to collect more seeds and punching the ground a bunch more. I've now discovered that is what I like to do. Punch the ground. Who knew?
I don't know. I apologize. I've been playing without shaders. Much better.
Finally, after realizing that my shaders had not been turned off the entire time I had been playing, I decided to light up the new part of my chunk. After the new part of the chunk had been lit up, I decided to look over the edge of this new chunk to see if there were any ores that were close by.
Anything close? Copper, coal, some iron way down there. It's a lot of copper, so I'm not gonna have an issue with that. There's some iron.
I then headed down to go and collect what I had seen from the top and collected a good amount of iron and quite a bit of copper and some coal as well. And finally, after wasting 9 iron on 3 different buckets, I was able to start my farm.
All Beautiful. Let's craft up. Ding. Whoops. Ding, ding. Ding. There we go. That's more like it.
I then decided to use some bone meal on the farm so that I can make myself something very special. A singular piece of bread. I then had to make the toughest decision possible. Was I going to save this piece of bread for a rainy day when I really desperately needed it, especially with how this world had been going for myself? Or was I going to eat it right now? It was a very tough decision to make. Not too tough. With an almost full stomach, I headed back down into the cave where the mob spawner was, and discovered it mostly full of gravel, but found a chest. And inside that chest, I found some gunpowder, some rotten flesh, another piece of bread that I would be able to eat, and some beetroot seed. I decided to dig through the gravel to test my luck to see if there was another chest. Instead of the chest, I found a skeleton, and so I decided to defeat the skeleton swiftly. Digging through, instead of looking for the chest, I decided to dig for more gravel, and instead of finding the chest, I found a zombie instead. After defeating the zombie, I looked up to see if I was going to find any more foes. Instead, I just saw more gravel. Be able to make a mob spawner with skeletons, that's perfect. Couldn't ask for more. Oh, no carrots. I was hoping for carrots because, believe it or not, in all my time of playing Minecraft, I had not realized that you can use beets for pigs. Embarrassing, I know.
Start a staircase down, I guess.
Moving on from my stupidity, I decided to start mining lapis. I had seen this cave below me and started mining the lapis towards the cave. I decided with my fresh set of iron armor and my iron sword that I was ready to start mining towards it. If I could find the right path down towards this cave, through this lapis, it might be a right move for me. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot straight up at me. Ah. Keep going. Oh, that's not great. Alright. There's it. Somehow, with my shield deciding not to block that arrow, it began the long process of trying to get my stuff back. Enjoy. Holy! Get this. This all continued until I finally had the idea to try something different.
Let me this way. Let me this way. Hi, creepers.
To die again. And after all of that, all that I was left with is what's in my inventory, a new best friend Enderman, and all it was for was some iron and some gold.
Get some wood. Safe. If I find a way to die getting wood, then I should give it up. Everything. Not even just Minecraft.
And that is why every time something goes wrong, you find me back here cutting down logs, because it is the comfort that I find on this evil chunk that somehow continuously finds a way to take away my joy and hurt me time and time again. After I felt comforted enough, I decided to go mining again to try to get some more blocks for the World Forge to expand the world more. I then ran into the cave once again.
Ah! Wow! Yeah, I don't think so.
Instead of leaving like I should have, I decided to try to see if I could find a better way down there. I don't know why this was the first thought in my head after dying 8 times before.
That'd be an easier way to get that. A lot of sounds going on. Oh, God. Excuse me.
After seeing 2 floating creepers, it should have been my signal to leave, but I stayed for a while longer.
That dude has my sword. Ow. Alright, you know what? Let's be smart. For once, ever. Let's go put all my stuff away. Really want that iron in there.
After I had made the smart decision to go back up to the surface to put my stuff away, I put some of my blocks into the World Forge and decided to do a little bit of peaceful farming. I began putting more blocks into the World Forge. After the World Forge felt like I had done a good enough job doing so, it rewarded me with enough to create another chunk spawner.
Alright. Surely. Yep. Okay. Now let's think about this. I don't think we want to go that way because we know there's a bunch of diamonds down there. Maybe this way, but I feel like those are more paths. It would be best to try to find where there could be villages. So maybe this one? Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's give it a go. No!
After ultimately making the wrong decision, I decided to throw a tantrum and start beating the grass. After I had finished that, I finally figured out that you can breed pigs with beets. Feeling so stupid from never knowing that, my tantrum then turned into a fit of rage. I began beating the ground with a shovel.
Let's see. Oh, lava. Some iron down there. There's a lot of coal right there that I didn't see. Dang, that lapis is close. Oh, zombie. Iron. Close iron. That's good. That's good.
After seeing all those ores off the side of the new chunk, I began digging downwards to try to get some more ores, hoping that this time, when I got all of the new ores, I wouldn't die with them in my inventory. I continued to dig and ran into a new cave. But being the experienced veteran I am, and seeing the wars that I have seen on this chunk, I wasn't scared anymore.
Drop that sword. Oh shoot. Mm-mm. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, sir.
I guess I was a little scared.
You're not welcome up here. Some of that. Jeez, really? Greedy much?
After doing a little bit of farming and the beasts deciding to steal all of my bone meal, I decided I was going to head back over to the pigs and do a little bit of breeding. I then decided to give the majority of my beets to the pigs. Not to the baby pig though, I only needed that for breeding. I put the last one back in the chest and decided to give myself one piece of wheat to form into a piece of bread. I decided to do the smart thing this time though and save that piece of bread for later, for a rainy day. I put it away in my inventory as not to look at it and get tempted to eat it. I then decided to start putting my blocks into the World Forge to see if I could get any close to progressing towards a new chunk spawner.
Iron pickaxe.
I then made my 4th bucket of the video so far. And I decided a perfect thing to soothe myself and comfort myself for having to make my 4th bucket was to cut down some trees. After cutting down the trees and feeling comforted, I was finally able to go down and get some more diamonds with my newly crafted iron pickaxe. After getting myself some diamonds, I heard a lot of mobs in a certain direction. And after my experience in this video, I decided it was the smart thing to do to start mining directly towards it.
Jeez, sorry, zombie. Oh, shoot. Sorry, zombie villager. Oh, hello.
I began digging up to the mobs afterwards for some reason, before realizing, hey dummy, you have an inventory full of stuff. And finally did the smart thing and headed back to the surface.
You guys miss me?
I created a chest and a hopper system to see if that would help the World Forge while I was gone, so I didn't have to continuously put all of these blocks one at a time into the World Forge.
How lovely. Actually, gonna replace.
I decided to replace a couple of the pieces of wheat with some beet seeds, just so I can grow beets a little bit faster for once my pigs start multiplying.
Actually gonna have some food. Wonderful. Piggies.
With all of the blocks that I had put into the World Forge and some copper that I had mined along the way, I was finally able to make another chunk spawner. Now the tough part was deciding where I wanted to put the next one.
On this side. Oh! There's a bed! 2 beds. No villagers, though. That's depressing. It's a sight to wake up to.
After spawning the new chunk, being pleasantly surprised by 2 village houses, a couple of beds to sleep in, waking up to a beautiful view of nothingness, breeding my pigs once more, I was ready to set out on another adventure. Mining more blocks. When I went back to the surface, I was greeted by 2 of my best friends, realizing that I had forgotten to light up the surface.
And I ran out. Hey, wouldn't it be really funny if you guys got killed by me? Ow.
After all my mining, after all my fighting, after this long adventure, I decided it was finally time to begin working on my house. Now, before I start doing this, I think it's a great idea to preface it by I am not much of a builder. When I do spend a lot of time on my builds, they don't even turn out that great. But especially on this video where I don't have a lot of space to work with, I do not spend a lot of time on this build. So please do not judge too hard.
Alright. I've done a little bit of work since I last spoke. I started working on a bit of a starter house. Not much. I'm not much of a builder, so don't expect a lot. But it's something. So, I don't have any sand, so I won't be able to do windows. I think I'll do something like fences. But yeah, so that's the start of it. I decided I'm gonna do an unstable chunk spawner. I had built up, because all the mining and everything, to get all the stuff for this. I had built up quite a bit and decided to do an unstable one. I'm trying to figure out where to put it in case it turns into something super chaotic, but I think I'm just gonna put it straight out in front. I'm gonna just put it right here. So, see what it does.